Hi guys, and welcome back to a new video with the Omega enthusiast. Before I begin, if anyone is interested to learn how to tell whether an Omega dial is original or refinish, head over to my Patreon account and become a patron. Link is above. I will have educational posts on my Patreon account regarding redial every now and then. If you enjoy the content that I make sure to hit on that thumbs up button below, and you can always support me on Patreon as well. Let us get started. On today's video, I will be introducing my personal collection of vintage Omega watches that carries the caliber 321 movement. Note that the base movement of a caliber 321 is caliber 27 CHRO C12, which is a Lamania-made chronograph movement for Omega, Tissot, and a few other brands during the 1940s. But Omega is the brand to successfully use this movement for nearly 3 decades, from the early 1940s to 1968, when caliber 861 took over. 321 replaced the caliber 27 CHRO C12 in 1949. The very first piece that I have here is one of the earliest Omega watch to carry an Omega caliber 321. This one dates to 1942, which of course used caliber 27 CHRO C12, but for the remaining of this video, let us stick to caliber 321, and I will leave a text at the bottom to indicate the exact caliber reference for that watch. The case model of this watch is CK2279 and is a square pusher chronograph watch. The original crown on this watch is unsigned. The acrylic crystal that it takes is a regular low dome without the metal tension ring. Similar to other square pusher chronograph watches of this era, the case is not moisture resistant, which is why it is difficult to find one of these watches in great shape. CK2279 has a 3-piece case with removable bezel and has a snap-on case back. Case back does not take a gasket. What I like about 1940s watches are majority of will have these easy spring bar release holes on their case lugs. I've only seen this case model exist in full solid stainless steel or in solid gold. Since this case model exists to as late as 1957, you'll find that this model will come with a sign crown throughout its existence in the 1950s, and the movement will have 321 engraved on. This model is in the market for a long time. There are many dials variation and hand types. Because the case design is not made to withstand moisture, not many have survived until this day. The case dimension of this watch measures 34.8 millimeters, excluding the crown, by 42 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip. It has a case thickness of 7.7 millimeters without the crystal and 11.2 millimeters including the current crystal. The crown diameter is 6 millimeters with a 2.3 millimeter thickness. The lug width on this watch measures 18 millimeters. Since the watch looks very metallic, I decided to install this beads metal bracelet. Next up are my Trio CK2451 case model. First introduced it in the mid-1940s and lasted to around 1957. This is one of the first Omega 321 chronograph model to have a screw lock case back instead of a snap-on. There are many dials variation and hand types for this model as well. The case is fairly thick and it is one solid watch. Thoroughly examine the case, you will notice that the bezel and lugs are not the same in design between models from the 1940s and 1950s. That said, the later version will also have a thicker case back, and the reason for that is Omega has added a dust cover inside to cover the movement. Because of how well and sealed the case is on this watch, you will be able to find a nice CK2451 a lot easier than a CK2279, which is the previous watch. The acrylic crystal on a CK2451 will take a metal tension ring for a tight fit and prevent moisture from entering. It has water-resistant type pusher and crown, and the case back also takes a case back gasket. With proper sealing and pressure tests, you can actually swim with this watch. The case diameter is 35mm excluding the crown for both case version by 41 to 42mm from lug tip to lug tip. The case thickness is 8.8mm without the crystal for the older version and 9.1mm thick for the later version. The crown diameter is 6.3mm with a 2.7mm thickness. The case lug width is 18mm. Both versions will have easy release spring bar hole on each of the lugs. You will notice that the case back can come plain or with engraving. Plain case back is good for personal engraving, like on this 1946 piece. I bought this one off a Colombian watch collector, and as you can see on the case back, it was given to a militant in 1949. Some people dislike personal engraving on the case back. To me, they are just part of the watch history, and I do not mind it at all. The next watch is my one and only Omega Seamaster 321 chronograph, and it's probably the piece that I show off and talk about the most. For its technical detail, you can always watch a video I made on this specific case model in the link above. There are more than 6 different Seamaster case model which takes the caliber 321, but my favorite would be this one from 1962. The very first Seamaster though, 321, was introduced in 1952, along with the first calendar model and constellation model. I used to wear this watch with a green genuine leather strap until I come across this original bracelet. It makes the watch appear almost like a Speedmaster, but without the tachymeter bezel. I think you guys have seen enough of this piece on this channel and on my Instagram posts. So let's move on to the next watch. This next piece is also my one and only gold tone Omega 321 chronograph. This one probably gets the least wrist time because of its superb condition. I only wear this watch for special occasions such as to a friend's wedding. This is an Omega case model 101.010 and it is available in all case material. This case model dates between 1963 to 1966. Once again, when you see square pusher vintage chronograph of this era or earlier, you must keep in mind that this is not a water-resistant watch. The case diameter on this watch measures 35mm, excluding the crown by 41mm from lug tip to lug tip. The case thickness is 7.9mm, not including the crystal, and 12.3mm if I include the current crystal. The regular dome acrylic crystal does not take a metal tension ring. The sign crown diameter is 5.5mm by 2.2mm thick. I fitted a blue strap on this watch since I find blue and gold makes a great match. Lug width is 18mm. The last piece that I have is my 1968 Omega Speedmaster 321 chronograph under the case model 145.012. It is the last model to carry the 321 caliber and is referred by most collectors as the pre-moon transitional Speedmaster. Even though 1968 is the last year for the 321 caliber, a few remaining 145.012 models were delivered in 1969 as well. You will notice that inside the case back of a 145.012 there is a -67 that indicates the year 1967, which is the first year when Omega introduced this case model, and was distributed throughout 1967 to 1969. If you would like to know the exact year for your Speedmaster, I would recommend you to order the extract of archive from Omega, since it is hard to estimate the year of a Speedmaster using the movement serial number. A very good friend of mine sold me the Speedmaster. It is too big for my wrist, but I cannot call myself the Omega enthusiast without owning a Speedmaster, right? The case diameter is 42mm excluding the crown, which is about 7 to 8mm wider than what I normally wear. When it comes to buying a vintage Speedmaster, please make sure you do a ton of research since there are just too many made-up pieces out there. For instance, my Speedmaster takes a Dawn bezel, and if it does not, the value will be depreciated by a few $1,000s. You can learn more about Dawn bezel from the video link above. I will also leave a link in the description box below for anyone who's interested to learn more about all Speedmaster model and the latest value. That's the end of this video. If you guys enjoyed watching it, leave a comment below and tell me which is your favorite piece from this video. Please support the channel on my Patreon account and make sure to hit on that thumbs up button below, and do not forget to subscribe. If you are looking to purchase a professionally serviced vintage Omega watch, website link is in the description box below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.